Hey there, Brandon, literacy team. I hope that you are enjoying yet another day off. I am here in the office just trying to knock out a few tasks. This afternoon we had scheduled another literacy team meeting, but looks like Mother Nature had other plans. I guess I just need to keep scheduling meetings and we'll keep having days off, so I'll see what I can do for you. But I did want to try to take advantage of this time to just try to update everybody on where we are and our next steps, because I don't want to continue to pull people away from their family time in the evenings to continue to do this work. If I can try to give you some of the tools and resources now and let you kind of play around with it at your leisure or within your grade levels and departments, that would be ideal. So what I want to show you right now is a folder that is available in Google Drive. This is a folder that has been shared with everybody that's on the literacy team. So if you're getting this and you don't have access to this, just let me know and I'd be happy to send it your way. It is in a literacy folder. Within the literacy folder, there's another subfolder called rubrics. So if you remember, those of you that have been a part of this process since the beginning of the year, we took a look at our current curriculum, or the designation of what needs to be taught, and we explored where a lot of those resources come from. And there were really two primary sources, both textbooks and or Atlas, kind of drove what it is that we decided to teach. We then looked at the standards that the state of Michigan has adopted, and we tried to figure out if there was a real alignment to those standards, and we saw that there are some connections and some correlations, but in some places things were just misaligned, and there were some things that weren't given the priority that they needed. And there are other things that we made the designation that they were important, although they're not necessarily assessed at regular intervals. So we took a look at trying to realign that, and I identified what we're calling power standards, or those essential learnings, by looking at the blueprints that the state of Michigan put out and says that these are the most essential standards that have the most leverage, that have the most endurance, and the most complexity for kids. And there are now rubrics that are established. I'm going to show you a couple that will then also show you the next steps that we're going to be trying to engage in. So within this folder, there are two different things that you can look at. You can look at it by grade level, so based off of the grade level that you currently teach, there's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and kindy's way over here, you might not be able to see it. Or, remember we identified that there were 10 big standards in both literature, informational text, writing, speaking, and listening. So with that in mind, 10 standards for each of those, 10 months of the school year, kind of split those up and said there's one major standard to be learned in each of those domains, or to be mastered every single month. And so you can look it up chronologically, if you will, as well. I'm going to take a look at by grade level so I can give you a sample of what one of these rubrics looks like. So I'm just looking at third grade right now. I'm going to click on the September rubric just to give you an idea of what it looks like. This level 3, this got it, if you think about the idea of like the MEET test where students can get a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, or your own teacher evaluation where you can get a 1, 2, 3, 4. That level 3 is considered to be effective or proficient or got it, if you will. That level 4 is highly effective or advanced. Levels 1 and 2 are not quite there yet. What the state of Michigan has actually done with the M-STEP is that they have developed a scale in which if a student gets a level 2 on the M-STEP, that means that they are proficient at the prior year's level. If they get a level 4, that actually means that they're proficient on next year's level. So it's the progression of learning that literally goes from K-12 with the expectation that at the end of 12th grade, students will have college and career readiness skills if they follow this progression. So in third grade, for example, we've got the standards for literature, information, writing. I broke down writing into two separate components here, and then speaking and listening as well. And these are the standards taken directly from the state of Michigan's website. So for example, in literature, students can ask and answer questions to demonstrate understanding of a fictional text, referring explicitly to the text for the answers. As a teacher, you would be trying to measure whether or not your students can do that skill. If they can't do that skill to a level of proficiency or mastery, you would then say, well, can they do this? Can they ask and answer who, what, when, why, where questions to demonstrate understanding? So if you give it a little bit more scaffolding, can they do it? If they still can't do that, you would go back and say, well, can they identify key details from the text? So what can they do, and then how can you build upon it to get them to that next level? This is not necessarily a ladder. Students don't have to be able to do this in order to do this, and then once they do this, they graduate to here. Not necessarily. You would assess whether or not they can do this task. Once they've got it, they've got it. You can then choose to assess them at this level 4 task to see if they can take to the next level. This can also help us provide those pathways and those on-ramps to see if students truly are accelerated or advanced, if they are really performing at the next grade level. At the bottom of this, there's an opportunity for us to list possible assessments. So what are some of those outcomes? What are some of the ways that we can measure whether or not students are able to do these things? So for this one, there's a possible assessment on here. It says students will write an editorial to describe, excuse me, to describe and rate a book that they've read. So rating a book, coming up with is a way to analyze and evaluate the text. The editorial should discuss the accuracy of the setting, the plot, characters of a fictional book when compared to information learned in a nonfiction text. So they're going to take information they might have learned from a nonfiction text to something that they're reading in a fictional text to see if there are similarities or differences. And then students should work with others to debate the rankings of their book. So whether or not it's 4 stars or 3 stars or however you choose to do that in your class. And share their findings with others through a technology-supported presentation. Where did all that come from? Well, it came from here. So they're going to be able to ask and answer questions of a fictional text. They're going to be able to read nonfiction text to gain information. They're going to be able to write an opinion piece, so that their opinion piece is truly going to be something that analyzes this literature and then compares it to informational text. And then, again, the collaborative opportunities using technology comes from the speaking and listening standards. So it's one big assessment. It's really outcome-based instruction. So you have an idea of what the kids are going to have to be able to produce at the end, and then you provide scaffolded instruction along the way to get them there, and then you've got a rubric that you can use to truly pinpoint where kids' successes are or where some of their deficiencies are, so that throughout the course of a month, you are supporting them and highlighting their strengths. Let me see if I can't get us a different one here to look at. Let's take a look at, still in 3rd grade, take a look at, I think this is February, it says. So same concept, literature, information, writing. You can see in literature, distinguish their own point of view from that of the narrator. You got distinguish their own point of view from that of the author of a nonfiction text. So same kind of skill, but through 2 different lenses, nonfiction versus fiction. Using technology to publish writing and speaking complete sentences. In this one, for the assessment, it was a little difficult to come up with one big grounded project. So there's 4 possible assessments that are embedded throughout this. There's one for literature, another one for information, another one for writing, another one for speaking and listening. So possible outcomes that the teacher might look at this and say, okay, I'm going to create some activities or some lessons to help students be able to create these outcomes by the time we're done. What ends up happening then is that within a month, teachers at a grade level are all having students produce something that's in common. It's common evidence, common outcomes, or as we'll say, a common assessment. Common assessments do not have to be true, false, multiple choice tests. It is simply a way for us to assess student learning. So at student data meetings then, you're able to bring copies of this work or these outcomes to your peers, compare the evidence. You guys can maybe collaborate on some of the grading to see if you're looking at it through the same lens, and then have conversations about what different teachers might be doing to help their students produce these outcomes at mastery levels. So student data meetings then take on a more authentic, relevant lens to them. So we've got these developed for 3rd grade. We've got these developed right now for 5th grade. I'll show you examples. For example, 5th grade, I'll just pick a month. Clickers on October. So October, again, we've got the rubric, and you can see possible assessments. Right now, these are all completed for 3rd grade and 5th grade, but your task as you go forward, I know the middle school started some of this on the last PD day, but your task would be to look at some of this through your current grade level and see if there are things that you think you could infuse. Maybe you already have some projects or outcomes that you use from Atlas or from your current resources that you think are effective and they fit and they support the rubric. Plug those in, and I'll show you exactly where to plug those in and how to do so. But plug those in, give us that information so that we can create a database here that will help support us next year, and this can become our curriculum going forward for literacy, at least through K-8 and then eventually branching up to 9-12 as well. What this will also do is will help us make sure that students are not getting exposed to the same projects and the same ideas year in and year out, that it truly is scaffolded. Again, remember, when we look at this is our 5th grade skill, and this is truly the 6th grade skill. So what's happening in 6th grade should be a little bit more complex than it is at 5th grade, more complex than it is at 4th grade, more complex than it was in 3rd grade, because that's what this is. This is 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade all on one rubric. So you can see that progression of skills. And because we know that not all kids are at the same time, at the same place, at the same time, flip that. This helps us really with our differentiated model and targeted instruction and your small group instruction. You can get kids that are all at this level. You can give them some small group instruction. Kids that are here can have small group instruction, and you can really help group kids based off of your use of these diagnostic rubrics. So that's where we are. So your task, here's what I'm going to be sending your way. There is a form. Simple Google form. So you'll have access to those rubrics. And I would just ask that whatever grade level you're on, you would click the appropriate dial here for the grade level you're teaching. Take a look at whichever rubric you want to start with. So maybe you would do some of this by hand first or have split screen, however you choose to do it. And then indicate which of the domains of the rubric that you're describing, and then just simply describe what that assessment might look for. What does that look like? Maybe you have some instructions, or maybe you actually have something that you've already scanned into your computer and you want to just give me the website so that I can link it. That would be amazing as well, because that's what we want to have. We want to have a robust system where there are all the assessments available, where things are linked, and teachers can truly have everything at their disposal that's been vetted by their peers, and that we can continue to enhance and grow together. You can also just type in any extra information here that you think is relevant, maybe if it's a group assignment or individual work or something that's in the works, or just any other additional information. And again, this is where you might want to describe, yeah, there's a Google Doc or website for this task, or there's not. So I will send this to you so that in your grade levels or on a snow day like this, if you say, no, I want to start plugging through this is interesting, it will help me start planning some of my instruction, or you want to start experimenting with some of it this year, I will give you access to this so that you can start updating this. And then what I'll end up doing is, as these results start coming through, I'll start adding those to the rubric, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have this knocked out. So that's where we are. I appreciate you taking the last 12 and a half minutes to watch this, and have an amazing rest of your day.